Hi everyone, welcome to the Nate Inns Pop Classical channel. I'm Nate Inns, and in this video I'm going to share 4 rhythmic patterns that you can apply to difficult passages in music to make them way easier to play. And the amazing thing is they work for any instrument. I personally use them in my piano practice as well as my teaching, and I can honestly say that I've seen looks of astonishment on my students' faces when they see how helpful these rhythmic patterns can be. For this reason, sometimes I refer to them as magic rhythms with my students. Despite how beneficial they are, as far as I'm aware, there's not a lot of information about them online. So I hope you find this video helpful, and if so, please consider subscribing at the end of the video. The 4 rhythms can work for any musical passage, but they're most convenient for passages which have many 8th or 16th notes in a row. For this reason, I'll be using CPE box solfeggietto, which is almost entirely comprised of 16th notes to demonstrate the 4 rhythms. Let's start at the beginning. It sounds like this. Now, I'm going to change that to the first rhythm, which goes like this. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. When you do the first rhythm, you should be careful not to have a lazy or triplet feeling like this. Rather, you should have a more snappier dotted 8th, 16th note rhythm. It should be snappy. And so on. For the second rhythm, we reverse the 2 notes so that the 16th note comes first and the dotted 8th note comes second, and it sounds like this. Short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. For this rhythm, we should be sure to accent the first 16th note so that we can emphasize each beat. The third rhythm is long triplet, long triplet. And for the fourth rhythm, we reverse it and the triplet comes first. Triplet long, triplet long. Since this piece of music is almost entirely comprised of 16th notes, one thing you can do is take the 4 rhythms and continue playing them through the entire piece. Another thing you can do is look for some particularly challenging passages in the music and play the 4 rhythms for those passages more times. You can loop those passages with the 4 rhythms. For example, like this passage on page 2, which is tricky to play cleanly. You can take the 4 rhythms and play them more times here. And the second. And the third. And the fourth. So now that I played all 4 rhythms for this passage, I can say that I played 1 rep. And then I do the 4 rhythms again and again and again to loop the passage and get more practice. It just so happens that right after this passage is the only time in the music that there aren't continuous 16th notes. So when we have a passage of music without continuous 8th or 16th notes, we can still use the 4 rhythms, but depending on the passage, it may be more or less convenient. The first 2 rhythms usually work well. They're the most flexible of the 4 rhythms and can be used for a lot of passages. We can just ignore the rhythm on the page and play the rhythm for the first one and the second one. However, the third and fourth one are a little bit more tricky. Sometimes we can use them and sometimes they're not convenient to use. However, for this passage, I will try to use the third and fourth rhythm and adapt them to the passage. Here's how the passage sounds originally. Now I'll use the first rhythm. And the second rhythm. You can see that it's easy to use them for this passage, even though it's not continuous 16th notes. Now I'll try the third and fourth rhythm, and I'll have to change it a little bit to make it work. Long, triplet, long, triplet, long, long, triplet, long, triplet, long, long, triplet, long, triplet, long, long, triplet, long, triplet, long. So I had to repeat long a few times to make it work. And finally, the fourth rhythm is the trickiest to apply to this passage, but I will try. Triplet, long, triplet, duple. Triplet long, triplet duple, triplet long, triplet duple, triplet long, triplet long. In summary, the 4 rhythms are 1. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. 2. Short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. 3. Long triplet, long triplet. And 4, triplet long, triplet long. These 4 rhythms can be applied to challenging passages, and they're especially convenient for continuous 8th or 16th notes. I often call them magic rhythms, partly because of how effective they are, but also because it's a little hard to explain why they work so well. I would say the reason is because if you are playing a challenging passage of music, you need to practice it at different tempos, different speeds, from slower to faster. Faster tempos will help you with fluency, and slower tempos will help you with control and precision of the notes. The 4 rhythms have different combinations of faster and slower notes. The faster parts will help you with fluency when connecting notes, and the slower parts will help you with control and precision when connecting the notes. When you add these 4 rhythms together, the different combinations make a really amazing practice routine. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. And also feel free to click the link below for my full performance of CPE box solfeggietto. Thanks again, and see you in the next video.